The middle of fall, and two young kids are running around without a worry in mind. One of them will one day become future Alpha of the Blue Crest pack, as the other will have the title of head warrior of Blue Crest. Or so that is what everyone believed the moon goddess had set for these two. Jayla Clearwater is the daughter of the Beta. As for Jake, he will become future Alpha of Blue Crest someday. Sam, who is Jayla's older brother, will one day be future Beta of the pack and is best friends with Jake. Jayla's story begins from when she was just a little girl and was always trying to keep up with her brother. "Jake, throw me the football." "I can catch it," I said as I stretched out my hands to try and catch the ball. "No, Jay, you're going to get hurt," Jake said as he threw the ball towards my brother Sam. "Jayla, this is a guy's game. You can't be getting in it," Sam yelled from a few feet away. I sat in my spot, crossing my hands and pouting, while Jake rolled his eyes and put his hand on his forehead before running towards me. "Jay, your brother doesn't want you to get hurt. Just go home. Okay, we will go in a bit and see a movie with you," Jake said, and my brother agreed with him. I believed them both as I was young and very gullible. I then stood up to do as he said and walked away and waited in the porch until it got dark. My mother soon came out as she saw me still sitting out in the porch and asked me to come back inside before a random rogue came out of the woods and ate me for dinner. I listened and went back into the house but was silent for the rest of the night. After dinner, I got ready for bed and decided that I was no longer going to play with my brother as he seemed to always push me away. From that night on, everything changed. I started to be different with my brother. The next morning, my brother had come back home from his sleepover with Jake. He was super excited to be back home. He would not stop talking about his night with his friends to Mom. My mother listened to everything he had to say while she cooked, and I stayed silent on my chair at the kitchen table. He went on and on about the new Transformers movie they watched and all the popcorn Luna had made for them. I silently ate my cereal as I kept hearing his nice afternoon away from his baby sister. "Well, Sam, maybe next time your sister can join you," my mother suddenly said, but that just made my brother go from a happy mood to a sour mood. "Mom, this is all for big kids. She can't do that. All she will pick is Barbies and girl stuff," he said as he was now whining to her. "It's okay, Mom, he doesn't have to. I can just stay home," I responded before she got to say something and everything went silent. My mother gave a short nod and my brother jumped from happiness. He was going to still be able to enjoy his fun with just his friends. My mother did not think much of it as we were both kids, but she never realized how it would impact me as I grew up. My parents would see small things as playing alone and always keeping to myself, but started to worry when teachers told my parents that I did not really play with other kids. At home, it was different because I would always play with my brother and Jake, but had stopped playing with them a few weeks ago. After being told that, my parents sat me down to talk to them when my brother had gone to a sleepover with his friends. "Jayla, we want to talk to you about why you're not playing with other kids your age," my mother asked first, as my father kept himself busy with his laptop and helped make the situation less awkward. "I don't need friends," I said, starting to look out the window. I was only 6 at the time, but I was still pretty mature for my age. "Are you sure you're not getting bullied?" My father then questioned, thinking I was probably in some trouble, and that was why. "Some kids did not want to be my friends." "No, I'm okay. I don't want friends. They just leave you when they don't want you anymore," I responded back to them. They of course looked a bit shocked at my answer, but just left me alone to make my own decisions, thinking this might only just be a phase. 9 years later. Sophomore year of high school. The difficulty that every teen has to endure. It has been years since I have stopped following Jake and Sam around like a lost pup. I'm better off on my own, if I do say so myself. Even if I don't have friends and keep to myself. At first, my parents thought it was because I was mad at being ditched, which was part of it, but then they started to think it was a phase, and now. Well, they can't find a word to say that I have completely dislocated myself from certain emotions, or from them. This year is my brother's last year, before he leaves with Sam for Alpha and Beta training. Everyone has been making them so much the center of attention that I have completely lost all interest in whatever they all are hyped about. Besides that, everyone was buzzing over Jake's birthday that will be a week before they leave, and also my brother who will be 18 3 days before they leave. They are super excited as well, since they can't stop talking about it. At this point, it's really getting annoying and sounds like a pair of shrieking airhead girls who can't stop gossiping on what they will wear for that day. Well, close. It's more of who will be their mate, and if they don't find her, the fun they will have with the many other she-wolves looking for companionship. Ugh, now that nasty image is in my brain. Not a nice view either. Anyways, preparations are being made, and Mother made me join her to go shopping for our gowns. It was torture fitting into many colorful gowns with either too many sparkles or not enough to make her satisfied, until we just ended with a beautiful black dress with lace that would complement me and made me feel like myself. The weeks flew by quickly, and it was Jake's birthday. Every she-wolf was excited to be there to see if they would be future Luna of this pack, or anxious to know who would be their new future Luna. As for me, I had no choice in whether I wanted to go to the party or not, since my brother would become his beta when Jake takes over as Alpha. Otherwise, we will have to join in more as the beta family until my brother finds his mate, which I hope comes tonight because I really don't want to be there for his first shift or dinner and party. I was getting dressed reluctantly when my mother walked in to check if I was getting dressed. Tonight the Alpha had a fancy dinner before letting every teen have fun and having the after party. My dress was long and black, simple yet elegant, giving evil queen vibes, which I loved. Tonight girls just took over and dressed in their fanciest dresses they could find in hopes to be the next Luna. But I got dressed this nice to try and blend out a bit. When I walked downstairs, my father and brother's happy faces turned quickly into the overprotective males in the family. Oh my goodness, guys, you're supposed to tell her she looks beautiful, but since you both are being like this, Sam, you're grounded and honey, you get the couch, my mother said with a smile. Then she walked towards me to give me a quick hug, then led me out to the car to make our way to the pack house. When we got to the pack house, all the girls had such colorful dresses, and here I was standing out with a black dress, standing out like the black sheep of the family. The dinner was going great until Jake looked a bit sick, and the Alpha along with my father started to take him outside. Son, don't fight it, just try to relax and let your wolf take over, the Alpha said as Jake tried. His bones cracked as his shift started, and his fur started to reveal itself. Once he had finally shifted, a gray Alpha wolf stood in front of all of us. A gray wolf represented the second most powerful wolf in our world. The most powerful wolves were the king and queen wolves. Their colors were rare among common wolves. Usually the king and queen were white or black wolves, but never has it happened where both king and queen have been the same color wolf. As for Jake, this was good, because it meant that he was going to be a strong wolf and was going to be able to protect his pack. Not long after, I was pulled out of my thoughts. Jake Blackwood was staring at me. Then he quickly turned his head and left on a run along with all the other wolves. I told my parents I was not feeling good, and they were okay with me going back home. I know we drove here, but I told them that the walk might help, and the house was only 2 blocks away. I soon convinced them after I changed my shoes and left my heels in their car and started making my way home. It was a really nice walk as the moon was bright and the stars were twinkling away. After walking through the forest in my dress, I was finally seeing my house. It was dark out in the forest, but my parents always left the lights on to help us see until our wolves wake up and heighten our senses. Well, now only for me, since my brother's wolf seems to be waking up and talking about how his hearing is getting better, and his sight as well. As I got closer to the house, I saw the silhouette of someone. As I got closer, he looked towards me and said, "Mate." I was confused at first, but then as I started to recognize him, I could not believe who it was. Jake was my mate. How could this be? So many questions started in my head when he suddenly said, "I, Jake Blackwood, future Alpha of Blue Crest, reject you, Jayla Clearwater, as my mate." Jake was in front of me, breaking my heart before my wolf even got to wake up. After that, I fell onto my knees and with a broken heart repeated the words, I, Jayla Clear, water reject you Alpha Jake Blackwood as my mate. After I said the words, he left running into the woods, and I passed out outside in the cold spring weather that was ready to release its cold spring rain. 2 hours later, my parents found me passed out in the yard and brought me in and called the doctor. A few minutes passed by, and the doctor told my parents he had never had a case like mine, but he might believe it was a start of a heartbreak before my wolf was awakened. He had heard many of the treatments his colleagues have performed, and he would try some on me to help with the process. After the doctor left, my parents were so confused that they decided to keep all their questions away until I woke up again. 3 days later, when I woke up, I was in my room. My mother walked in and saw me sitting up on my bed. Oh, thank the goddesses, you have finally woken up, she said, and walked towards me and gave me a hug. Mom, what are you talking about? I asked, confused at my mother. Oh dear, you have been asleep for 3 days, she said now, worried that she might freak me out, which it did a bit. What do you mean I've been out for 3 days? I asked once again, and then everything started to come back to me. Jake and his rejection, and rejecting him back, hoping the pain would lessen, but it became so bad I passed out. Honey, did you meet your mate or something? My mother asked, trying to understand what was going on. Yes, but he rejected me, and I rejected him, so technically I have no mate now, I told my mother in a more serious tone. Jayla, can you tell me who it was? She asked, and I answered her quickly. No. No one will ever know, and he doesn't matter anymore. He rejected me, and I rejected him, so it's done. After I said that, I got up, went to my closet to grab my gym sweats and sweater, changed, and left to the pack's gym. As I was in the gym, I see Jake with some of his friends. I ignored him and continued working out to help with what I was feeling. After 2 hours in the gym, I walked out and saw him and his little crew outside. I knew he had seen me, but I just kept walking. And once I got home, I locked myself in my room. I wanted to be alone and just hope for the days to pass quickly so he would leave. What hurt most was that he never told me why he did not want to be my mate, but maybe in his mind, I would never be strong enough to be by his side. After my brother and Jake left the pack, I drowned myself in working out and working part-time during the summer. Today I worked out for about 4 hours and was about to go into training for patrols. I know I still did not have my wolf, but talking with my parents and Alpha, I was allowed special access to start my training early since I had passed the first test. Many took right after graduation. I was the youngest to be in the pack patrols and one of the best fighters at only 17. The months were passing by so fast that in only a few months I would be turning 18 and I would be getting my wolf. As I walked into the house, my mother yelled from the kitchen that she was finishing up dinner. Dad came downstairs finishing up a phone call and then set it down to say hi to me and look at what Mom had made. I washed my hands and helped my mother prepare the table for the 3 of us. As I did so, my mother and father sat all the food on the table along with the drinks. Soon we sat down, and my parents finally had the courage to ask what they have been wanting to ask me for about a year. So, honey, we did not want to make you uncomfortable before, but we were wondering what happened that night, my father asked, putting his fork down and looking up at me. I did the same and started from the beginning without giving up his name, just naming him as ex-mate. Well, Jayla, do you think you can still stay in the pack if you see him again, or would you like to move? My mother asked, looking a bit worried. I would choose to move far away from them. It's okay, Mom. I will stay till I graduate and get my wolf, then I will decide whether I want to stay or if I want to move away and continue to train and study in a different place, I said to them, which made them a bit happier at what my response was. Soon after, we cleaned up and started getting ready for bed when the alarms started to go off that we were under attack. I ran to my parents' room, and my mother got the emergency backpack to take with us to the pack house. We had different types of alarms, and this one was about rogues attacking the pack, but they were breaking through. As we ran to safety, my father and I helped a few of the women and children who were trying to get to the pack house, while my mom helped the Luna and other women count and mark down how many women and children were already inside. Soon they all were accounted for, and before they closed, I saw the Luna running towards us. I stopped them, and soon saw someone was behind Luna ready to launch at her. I started running towards her, without thinking, and got in the way of the rogue. Luna was able to get inside quick, when they realized it was me fighting the wolf. Mom lost control while Dad tried holding her back. I fought with everything I could, but the rogue got a deep scratch out of me that ran down my left eye. The bleeding would not stop, and I knew a scar was going to be there, especially since I would not heal as fast as if my wolf was already awake. I kept fighting despite my face being covered in blood until I was able to grab its neck and kill the rogue. The rest of the night I stayed outside until it was all cleared, and then I was sent to the hospital by the Alpha. As soon as I walked in, the nurses and doctors surrounded me and helped me clean up and got stitches on my deep scratch, but the doctor did say a scar would still be there and a bit visible. "It's okay, I'm just glad everyone is safe," I said, and the doctor along with everyone else left and left me alone with my parents. "What was going through your head, Jayla?" My father started to scream at me. "Don't you see we almost lost you?" he continued, and I started to speak for myself for once in a long time. "Well, at least it isn't our fault Luna died, and secondly, you could have helped me, but you stood by Mom's side, and the good thing about this is that I can at least protect myself if my wolf never wakes up." I yelled, angry at them, not realizing that what my ex-mate has done might come with consequences we might not be aware of. "Jayla, Luna would have still been able to protect herself. She can shift into her wolf," my mother said, and I once again replied, "Yes, sure, because at the angle I saw it in, she would have been 6 feet under by now. She has a future to live for still, and I probably don't, but one thing I know is that I was meant to be the best warrior out there, and I will continue to do so. Now you guys can leave so I can rest. I'll be home tomorrow." That was all I said, and they left. I knew my parents let me say those things because what happened still hurt me, but they did not know that if Jake found out his mother was dead, we would be dead, and he would have the perfect reason to announce why he broke the bond. It has been a few months after the attack, and 2 years since my brother left. He only texted my parents, and that's how I would find out he was still alive. Now that I think of it, he might think that I took his spotlight when I was born, because we were never really close. Even if I tried when I was young and followed him, he would always send me home. Today was a special day, since it was my 18th birthday. The weird thing was that I was not feeling any different from any other day. I brushed it off and continued my day like every other day. "Jayla, you're going to be late to school today," my mother yelled as I heard her around the kitchen, ready to go on her morning jogs after dropping me off. "Mom, you don't have to drop me off, I can drive. You know," I said while stuffing my face with her homemade bayonets. "Thanks, Mom, for these, they are so good," I said as I enjoyed them to the fullest. "I'm glad, and I'm driving you for that reason, that you are my baby girl and I won't be able to drive you around for much longer," she said, giving me a side hug. "Mom, you will always drive me around when I don't feel like driving," I said, and she gave me a side glare and I just giggled. "Okay, well, time to go, and happy birthday, my princess," she said, before grabbing her keys and giving me a kiss on the cheek before leaving to the car. I soon followed her, not minding my scar anymore, since it kept the mean girls out of my way. A lot of them heard what happened, and others created rumors. Either way, they were too scared to ask the truth, and I kept it that way to keep away from them. Later at night, my parents made me a special dinner. I was happy to know it would just be the 3 of us, and that no one would be staring at my scar. People tend to stare even if they don't want to. Anyways, dinner went fine, and we watched a movie while we waited for my wolf to wake up and start shifting. The later it got, the more worried we started to get that we ended calling the doctor. Soon he arrived and did a regular checkup on me and said everything was okay. Just that my wolf might not want to show up soon as to protect me from the pain I would feel of being rejected. And that we needed to be ready, because it would be a long day process. We all nodded at the new information, and we got ready for bed. After my birthday, I started to get headaches here and there, but as time went they started to get more and more painful. My eyesight started to get blurry, or my hearing would get that annoying ring to it. After a few days, I ended staying home and started homeschooling because the pain would get really bad. I would sometimes faint from it. This did not only take a few days, but started to go on for weeks. After a month of being in pain, it was luckily a full moon tonight. I started to shift. I screamed my lungs out until finally it happened. I was on all fours and was staring at myself in my room's mirror. My parents started opening my balcony doors so I would be able to stretch out and go on a run. As they did that, I kept my eyes on me, a beautiful wolf. She was all black but still had some features I had. My scar still on the left side of my face, but I was happy that I had finally got my wolf. We jumped out the window and landed swiftly on the ground. Then we ran as fast as we could all the way to the lake that was near our pack. I loved to go there during the spring when the flowers were in full bloom and the crystal water was running down the waterfall. I have not been here in a while. Last time I did come by it was fall, and now 2 years later it is the middle of winter. I will make sure to come back in the spring, I said to myself before running back home. After getting home, I saw my parents had left the back door open for me and a change of clothes. I put on my shirt and leggings on before walking in. My parents were in the living room, watching TV when they heard me. "Hey hun, how was your run?" Dad asked with a smile. "It was good, but can we keep it between us that I'm a black wolf? I know that they are rare among us, like white wolves who usually are alphas or lunas. I don't want to be mistaken by either or people thinking I want to take the alpha position or something," I said, a bit worried at what my parents would say. "Oh honey, you have nothing to worry about, and yes, just try to keep her at bay, and if you need to shift, do it late at night, so people won't see you," my mother said, agreeing with me. "Well, I guess that just leaves us with just always trying to cover it up, and also make sure if you get mad not to let her take over, okay?" Dad said, giving me a smile, then turning to Mom. "Yes, honey, try to keep her down, and it will help, and maybe your dad can help you train at night with your wolf, but during the day only human, and if anyone asks, just say it was too painful the first time and you're scared, and that you will try to work on it even if it's a lie," my mother said, as she leaned towards my father again and started to pay attention to their movie once more. I did not second-guess them and left to my room. Time went on, and some even thought that I did not have a wolf. Others thought I might be hiding my wolf, or of course what the mean girls would say is that my wolf was too ugly to show because of my scar, or I was just too mean. Funny thing is that my wolf's name is Scarlet, and Scar for short, kind of ironic too if I do say so myself. Anyways, time went on, and I also started to see that my life has just started to get into a certain schedule. Morning breakfast, school, homework, training, and late afternoon patrols. So much of my schedule was full of things that I barely fit in eating. It did help, though, keeping me from wanting a mate, but as time was going and many found their mates, I have already lost hope I would ever get a second chance. Funny, when I'm on patrols sitting and checking out the area, then 2 people out of nowhere are perfectly matched by the moon goddess kissing by a tree, so in love that it hurts to not have it too. The pain of remembering that night Jake just said those words coldly to me. One of my guesses is that he did not want to be paired to his beta's sister and slash, or a weak wolf, that I was 2 years ago. Now I have gained more experience and been in a few rogue fights that have helped me learn, and I hope to continue to learn as I go, or at least keep me at bay. There have been situations where wolves have gone rogue after being rejected, but I hope I won't end up like that. "Jayla, I'm sorry he left us," Scar said in my mind as I was thinking about our rejection. "It's okay, Scar, it's not our fault, he just did not want us, and because our love to our mate was already there, we let him go so he would be happy," I said back to her as we continued walking through the forest by the border. "I hope we are able to find our second chance mate soon," she said, happy to know that we may still have someone out there. "I'm sorry to burst your bubble, Scar, but there's not really much hope left. All we got is us, and protecting this pack till our last breath," I said, and she went silent. I blocked our link, and I knew that I might have hurt her feelings, but to me finding a mate now is just a fairy tale that only happens to certain people. 2 years have passed since I rejected Jayla. As much as it hurt, she could not be my Luna. She was weak and my best friend's sister. Not only that, I knew she would not be able to keep up as a Luna. She couldn't even keep up with us as kids, and I could not look at my best friend and tell him, "Hey bro, your sister's my mate." That sounds so bad. I can only see her as a little sister too. I can't do that to either of them, so I let her go. Not long after, during my first few weeks of Alpha training, I found my second chance mate, Kayla. She is very beautiful and was a second in command for Red Moon Pack. They agreed to let her go as she was my Luna, and I am very protective of her. The good thing is that in 3 more years, we will go back home, and I will mark her then. She also started Luna training, and we have had a few calls with my family, but they will keep it a surprise until we get back home that I have found my Luna. Along with me finding my Luna, my best friend Sam has also found his mate, but he really has it on the down low from his parents. I remember when we were just kids playing around, and now we are about to take over our pack with our mates by our side. I finished cooking in our apartment, where I stay with Sam, and called them all for dinner. "Oh wow, that smells awesome, thanks for dinner," said Sam, as he finished writing on some documents that he soon passed on to me to look at. "Thanks, and I will look at these later. Right now, I just want to relax and eat," I said, and sat for dinner with everyone, my mate and my beta. One thing I will always feel guilty for is the way I left his sister, and I'm afraid that one day he will find out. The next 3 years, though, flew like a shooting star. We had many competitions with other alphas in the Octagon MMA, fighting, and learning new skills from each other. Of course, some asserted dominance as tension was thrown into the mix, but all was good in the end. 5 years later. It has been 5 years since my brother left and I got rejected. 5 long, hard years. Many struggles and obstacles that I have had to endure. Bad dreams, sleepless nights, and the pain of not being with the soul mate everyone yearns for. Today I decided to start my day with training and getting ready for my brother's arrival this afternoon. Since we are really not that close, I decided to just leave him a small necklace gift by all the other ones he had. It wasn't much, but I hope he uses it once. As my mother yells at me and Dad for not having things right, we soon had to get ready to welcome my big brother home and Jake. Today I have decided to wear a purple dress with my white shoes, as it is a bit warm today, and it's the start of summer. I finished getting ready and went back downstairs to wait for my parents. As I did so, I did some of my work I had pending from my writing on a book I was writing for kids. Soon my parents came down, and I put away my work and checked patrol hours before leaving my phone alone, then walking with my parents to the pack house, where they will be having tonight's dinner. By the time we got there, I stayed back to keep away from any attention and let my parents take the spotlight along with the Alpha and Luna. The cars soon arrived, and Jake was the first one out. He then stopped, turned around, and reached out for something or someone. She slid out and held on to his arm. A hurt smile creeped up to me, but I just kept thinking as long as he was happy. Then a tear slipped from my eye as he made quick eye contact with me, and I quickly left. I thought I was going to be able to handle all of this after 5 years, but the truth was that it still hurt, and Scar howled in pain. I ended going back home to be alone. "I'm sorry, I'm not strong, Scar, but it still hurts," I told her as I took off my shoes and climbed onto my bed and hugged one of my pillows. She said nothing but howled and then blocked me. I was sitting in my room as it got dark without any emotions, just an empty space with just me. The hours passed, and nothing could change the void I felt. Soon I fell asleep and let dreamland take over. Back at the pack house, Jake just walked hand in hand with his new mate as my brother got out of the car and had his mate join him as well. They both walked to my parents, and the Alpha and Luna then introduced their mates. After all formalities, Sam asked for me, but my parents were confused as I was just with them a few minutes ago. "She was behind us, but let me go look for her so she can get some dinner," my mother said. "Actually, I'll go look for her, honey. You stay here with our boy and his mate." my father said, then excused himself to go look for me. My father soon figured out I had made my way back home, but when he did get back home, he knocked on my door without a response from me. He opened the door and saw I was on my bed sitting looking out the window. He soon put it all together, but did not say anything and left back to the dinner. When he got back, he told my mother everything was fine, and they continued the night like normal. The next morning, I was getting ready for my patrol when Dad came into my room. Our outfits changed as the higher ranks we were, and I was up to head warrior/assassin status since last year. First in ranking, and have been officially recorded as most dangerous because of my secret missions I have done in the past. Only thing left is to actually meet the king and get a scolding on my last mission on completing it my way. Anyway, my father came in as I was finishing up strapping my gloves. "Morning, princess," my father said as he walked in and closed the door. "Hey, Dad, morning, and why are you up so early? It's 4 a.m. I said, trying to act as normal as I possibly could. "Jayla, please stop," my dad said, and I did as he told me, wondering if something was wrong. "Jayla, please don't lie to me, baby. I know, and I want to know it from you," he said with sadness in his eyes. "What is it, Dad?" I questioned, confused at what he wanted to know. "Jayla is Jake, your ex-mate," he said, hoping it was not true. My heart dropped at his mention, and I looked down, then regained my composure and answered my father. "Yes, he is, and we will not speak of this to anyone. I can handle myself, and I will be transferring by the end of the week," I said as I grabbed my keys and left. My father stood there a bit before he left to his study and started to drink. Part of him felt like it was his fault I was rejected, and he wasn't there to protect me as any parent would with their pup, but today his suspicion was confirmed. I walked to the meeting area and saw that Sam, some girl, Jake, another girl, and the Alpha were at my spot along with another wolf who I was going to take the shift from. "Hey, Jayla, you're here," Mark, the guy who was on patrol, said, and everyone started to look at me. "Mark," I said coldly, like always, and continued to do my own stuff. One of the girls wouldn't stop staring, and it was getting on my nerves. "What are you staring at?" I said, and the girl jumped into my brother's arms. "Wait, Jay, is that really you?" my brother asked before letting go of the girl and giving me a hug. I could hear the pup behind him growling, but he did not care at the moment until I pushed him away. "Don't ever touch me again," I said, which made everyone freeze in their spot, hearing my cold words slipping out of my mouth. "And Squeaky Toy, I'm his sister, so stop your yapping before you get hurt." As soon as I had said that, I turned back to my brother, and he saw how much I had changed, even now noticing my scar. "Jay, what happened to your eye?" Sam questioned. "It's none of your concern, and tell Mom that I won't be coming home tonight." With that, I started to climb the tree to take my place and take a nap. I am a light sleeper, so taking a nap while patrolling is easy. Even the quietest moves are the lowest to me. For some reason, I have had the gift to feel the presence of someone even if they hid their wolf. My brother, along with everyone else, started to walk away instead as the Alpha mind linked them that he would explain everything back at the pack house. How do I know of this? Well, easy. We tend to sometimes space off a bit when mind linking someone. I mind linked my son, who is future Alpha of this pack, along with his beta. Their mates still could not communicate since we were going to start the process tonight. I had told them to meet me in my office as we needed to talk. It would be their option whether they wanted their mates there with them or not, but they had chosen to meet me without them. They wanted to understand what had happened with Jayla while they were gone. By the time we got to my office, it was 5 a.m. already. Their mates decided to sleep for a bit since they were out with them at night patrol and learning the layout of the pack at night. "Well, Dad, would you please tell us what has happened to Jayla?" Jake started to question as soon as he walked in. "Son, Sam, please take a seat," I said, and they reluctantly took their seats. "You see, boys, I think Sam's parents and my wife should be here, but of course they are resting, and you need to know. Jayla got that scar before her birthday. We were under attack, and of course she has always been training since you both would ditch her a lot. You two were her first friends that she had, but of course you guys were older and wanted to do things your own way," I said as I crossed my hands, and stood against the front of my desk, leaning on it a bit. Anyways, before her birthday, we were attacked pretty bad, and my beta, Luna, and Jayla were all running to safety. Jayla turned around and saw her Luna almost being attacked, and she was faster in reacting than my beta and the Luna. She acted and saved her. She got in between to save her, and she did her first kill of a rogue. Since then she has trained so much that her skills have increased and have surpassed ours that she has been recruited by the Royal Guards. She will be leaving by the end of the week. My son and Sam were in total shock of hearing this, but what did not prepare me was what my son was saying next. All that must have happened because I rejected her, he said, holding his head as he looked down. Sam caught on to what he had just said and walked out of the room furious. You did what? I yelled at my son as he quickly looked up, scared out of his mind. You hurt Jayla. How could you do this to her, to your first mate? What is wrong with you? Do you know the consequences? No, you don't, pup. I kept yelling, trying to get my point through my son. Dad, what's done is done, he said, trying to seem like what he had just said did not faze him. Your mother and I did not raise you like this, but now that you have your second chance mate, you will tell her before you mate, or I will not hand down my alpha position to you, but to your sister, I said, before storming out of the room as well. As I took my nap, I suddenly heard someone walking through the forest. I looked down and saw it was a few kids trying to sneak past the pack borders. I jumped off the tree and leaned right in front of them. Do you have permission to leave the pack borders? I questioned them. The girl, trying to be sleek, ended up with her hand behind her back, as well as her boyfriend. I had someone take over my patrol and ended having to deal with rebellious teens who were planning to run away, because they thought they were true mates, even though they still did not have their wolves. Soon my last patrol in this pack was done, and I went home. It was already the next day, so I decided to sleep in to catch up on sleep before starting to pack and leaving to my new chapter in my life. There was a part of me that still yearned for my ex-mate, but now it just felt like a dream that was shattered, and I repaired all the pieces on my own. Not many had the chance to get a second chance mate, and I know I was not one of those lucky people like Jake after what he had done. Soon I got home to my comfy bed and fell asleep as soon as I hit the pillows. The next few days I filled my schedule with training and packing. My family tried having dinner with me, but did not push it after seeing how busy I was. Besides that, they were getting acquainted with my brother's mate, and my mother, of course, was delighted by her. They spent so much time together that even when I had just gone to get a cup of coffee in the kitchen, she would not stop talking about her. In addition to those moments, she was sometimes there, and I would just ignore them. Thankfully, time was on my side, and it went by faster than I thought until I got a surprise visit. I was drinking my cup of coffee when the door opened, and the other girl from last time came rushing into my house and punched me. Everyone in the kitchen stood still, and Rachel, my brother's mate, started to say, Kayla, what's wrong with you? She questioned, still a bit in shock. She's the problem. All her fault. Why my mate hasn't marked me yet? It's because of her. His first mate. Kayla yelled in rage at what Jake had just told her, and a few seconds later he showed up to my house and saw my busted lip, but not before giving her one to match mine. Don't you ever dare touch me again, future Luna or not. Don't ever disrespect me like that again. I may be just another she-wolf, but respect in my eyes is earned, not given, I said, now angry, while she grabbed her bleeding lip and Jake holding on to her. Change of plans. I'm not leaving tomorrow, I'm leaving now, and I'm not coming back. I, Jayla Clearwater, reject this pack and consider myself rogue. And with that, all ties cut off from them, as Jake, Kayla, my parents, and my brother along with his mate were now frozen in shock. I left to get my luggage and returned quickly. My mother started to cry as I had just grabbed my things I had packed and started leaving the house. I became cold after rejecting this pack and giving a cold stare once more to Jake as he looked at me once more. Then I quickly left and did not bother to look back. I left the pack and have been driving for about 8 hours. I decided to leave straight to the palace, where I was given the chance to be a part of the Royal Guards. I had left in the morning and was about to arrive to my destination. It was now night again and needed to stop to eat something. I soon spotted a diner and decided to stop there to get something to eat. It was a nice diner, a great place to stop and enjoy an old-fashioned burger. The place had a few people here and there, so I decided to sit in the very back away from people. "Well, hi there, stranger, how can I help you today?" A very hyper waitress said as she put down a menu for me. "Coke or Pepsi, please," I said, and she left. I looked at the menu quickly before she came back. "So are you ready to order?" she said as she put my soda down and a straw right by it. "I will have the cheese burger, no pickles, and no mustard with regular fries," I said, and she left. She saw I was not going to make a full conversation with her, so she was quick to leave to get my order started. A few minutes later, she came back with my food and another soda. "Thanks," I said as she put it all down on the table. After she got serious and decided to tell me something. "Can you please be quick, as I can smell your rogue, and if others start to notice, I don't want anyone wanting to kick you out," she said, looking a bit apologetic. "That's none of your business, and secondly, I'm not a rogue. I'm in between transfers of packs," I said, and she left once more. I ate my burger and put $40 on the table before leaving. A few minutes later, I arrived at the palace gates and showed them my letter and driver's license. They let me through and informed me that the head warrior would be waiting for me in the back of the castle and to just follow the path around. I did so until I got to the back and parked my car. I got my luggage down and looked around me. It was really nice and bigger than I thought. Soon an older man walked out with a younger one and came up to me. "Hello, you must be Jayla Clearwater of the Blue Crest Pack. I'm Brandon," he said as he shook my hand. "This here is my son. He will be taking over my position soon, so I thought it was a good opportunity for you to meet him," he said now, giving the attention off to the younger man. "Hi, I'm Mark. Nice to meet you, Jayla," he said now, shaking my hand. "Nice to meet you both, and you can just call me Jay. Don't need to worry about saying my full name, and secondly, I have already renounced my old pack." With this new information, they were a bit taken back, but just nodded and proceeded to take me in. As we started to walk, they took me to my new room, and I was going to be brought into the royal pack tomorrow. The room I was staying at was really nice, and it was like a small apartment within the castle and was perfect for me. I even had enough time to unpack what I had and then fell asleep. When I woke up the next morning, I opened up the windows to see the sunrise. I drank my coffee, got ready for my morning training before meeting the Alpha King this afternoon. Today, though, it felt a bit off, as I was feeling anxiety coming from my wolf scar. She was not saying much, but her feelings said enough. The gym here was super nice, and I really had a good workout. Some were also working out early, but I had my headphones on and just concentrated on what I was doing. One thing I did notice was that the gym was full of men. Anyways, I ignored the stares and continued my daily routine. After I was done, I picked up my water bottle and started drinking. "Hey, I did not think you would be here so early," said Mark. I stopped drinking my water and looked up at him. "I don't like missing up my workout schedule or my training," I said, then left him behind as I walked out of the gym and left to my room to get ready for the day. I had decided to wear a simple loose t-shirt with jeans and Converse. After I finished, I walked to the office I was told the day before. As I got closer, I felt my wolf pacing around. "Scar, what the hell are you doing? You're giving me a headache," I asked my wolf as I rubbed my temples a bit before knocking on the door. Not long after Brandon, the head warrior, opened the door for me. I walked in and saw his son Mark there along with 8 other men in the room. As soon as I walked into the room, I was hit with the most intoxicating smell I could ever smell. The smell of fresh strawberries. I looked at each man that was there and kept myself controlled even if Scar was going nuts. As I walked to the center of the room, I decided to introduce myself. "Hello, I'm Jayla Clearwater from the Blue Crest Pack," I said, and soon everyone started to introduce themselves. After everyone gave their introductions, the king finally spoke. He had the most beautiful eyes of them all. Ocean blue eyes, his dark hair complemented his skin, his perfect lips, and a perfectly maintained beard. Scar, of course, was going wild in my head saying mate, but I blocked her as much as I could to help me from the headache she was giving me, and from holding myself back as he was too. So, Jayla, I heard you also rejected being in your pack. Was there a valid reason for cutting off ties with them? The former king started to ask. Yes, the Alpha's son was my mate, and he rejected me 5 years ago. I know it's not common to be rejected, but I accepted what he wanted. He soon left for training, as I kept up my training back in the pack. When he came back, he had found his second chance mate, and after she learned about his past and me, she did not react kindly to the news, went to my house and punched me. Yes, I returned the punch, but I also rejected myself from the pack and do not wish to go back, I said, and everyone in the room looked like they were dealing with this news in their own mind. Link, the king that was now in charge. Anyway, I heard him starting to growl at them, and soon the beta spoke. Jayla, we will welcome you to the royal pack. In addition to this, you will also show your fighting skills fighting our head warrior's son. I nodded, and they proceeded to start the process. My palm of my hand was cut a bit as well as the king's. We then put our hands together, and a wave of sparks moved up my arm to my body. Butterflies in my heart began, and I was soon shocked to see a tattoo was forming on my hand as well as his. Now not only I was shocked, but everyone else in the room was too. It was not just any ordinary tattoo either. It was a full picture of wolves' faces. His looked like my wolf, and in mine was probably his. Then in the bottom were 2 wolves that looked like they were howling. The former king quickly spoke and said, "You both are mates." His son turned to him, then looked at me. I was also confused, but then Scar pushed through and said, "Mate." At this point, everyone knew I was not in control, and it was my wolf as our eyes changed to a darker shade of our own. As for mine were brown, they would turn to a shade of almost black. She soon started growling at seeing his beta too close to her mate, and he took a step back. I let go of his hand, and then I felt the link start forming. Then I walked around his desk and stood by him. The king quickly regained composure and asked if Scar could give me control, in which she responded, "No, I will stay by mate," she said, and everything got wrapped up sooner than expected. Before everyone left, they congratulated us and walked out. Once we were alone, the king looked towards me and asked again, "Can you please let Jayla come back? I need to talk to her." He was sounding a bit more harsh than before, and of course, Scar challenged his words. "I will stay by mate and protect Jay." I, of course, was surprised that she said this, and I understood she was afraid that once more I would be rejected, and this would for sure finish us. He pinched the bridge of his nose and breathed. "What's your name, little wolf?" He started to question. "Scarlet, but you can call me Scar, and you are," she asked back. "King Maximiliano Gray, but you can call me Max, and my wolf's name is Shadow." She nodded and then asked her next question. "Will you reject Jay and me as your mates?" This time I tried to listen well, before starting to fall into a deep sleep. "I will never reject my mate, so please let Jayla take control," Max said, and Scar started to play with him. I will think about it, mate." She got closer until she was so close she would be able to kiss him. "Maybe a kiss will do," she responded once again, and he smirked. "I see you, little wolf, you like to play a great game, but right now I am worried that you overtook Jayla's body," he said, and she closed her eyes, then once again gave me control before I entered a deep sleep that would have given her a full day to do what she wanted before I regained enough strength to get it back. "I'm sorry, Scar's a bit headstrong," I said now, in an awkward position Scar had left me in. Max smirked and quickly switched our positions before kissing me. His kiss was sweet, gentle, and yet strong. He was being the dominant alpha to his mate. My hands slid around his neck to gain control of where I was standing. He seemed to not mind, as he didn't let me go until we both needed to catch our breath. As Max and I were in his office, soon we realized we needed to go. I had a training session with Mark, and I needed to tell Max before he pulled me in for another kissing session. "Max, I need to go," I said, trying to push myself away, but to no avail as his strong chest and arms were now wrapped around my body. "Where to?" he asked. "Training with Mark," I said, and he started to squeeze me. You are not going around any unmated male, you're mine, he said as he started to growl. I instinctively grabbed him and pulled him onto another heated kiss. After our second time kissing, he asked if he could take me out to dinner. He was so cute blushing that I finally said yes. He smiled and started to show his cute dimples. By the way, I just canceled your training, and I'm going to one important meeting before we go out, he said, and I walked out of his office and went straight to my room. As soon as I got back to my room, I could not believe what just happened. I looked down to my newly formed tattoo. His wolf on my forearm as mine is on his. I was feeling so many butterflies that he ended mind linking me during his meeting. If you keep thinking about me, I feel like you won't be ready in time, he said, and I blushed as I heard his deep voice. I'm deciding what to pick plus, shouldn't you be paying attention to your meeting? I responded back. Careful, little wolf, don't try to play with fire or it might just backfire on you, he said, and I knew he was hiding his smirk. Shut up, pay attention to your meeting, all I said before closing my mind link and starting to look for an outfit. After a while, I was finally able to choose a simple yet elegant outfit for tonight's dinner. I was a bit nervous that even if I was wearing makeup, my scar was still visible. So much for makeup, but at least it's not as bad as when I don't have any makeup on. As I finished up, I heard a knock on the door and told him to come in. As I turned around, I saw him leaning against the door frame, looking really nice in his suit. He had a white shirt with some blue slacks on. He had also unbuttoned the top of his shirt, as to say he was done with all business for today. I grabbed my purse, then walked up to him. You look beautiful, he said, and I couldn't help but blush. Thank you, you don't look half bad yourself, I said back, and he wrapped his arm around my waist to pull me in close to him. Oh really? Well, I think we should go before you get into trouble, little wolf, Max said as he dropped a kiss right where my mark will be. He knew that I would react to it, and I was trying with every bone in my body to not try and jump on him. He chuckled a bit, and I punched his arm playfully, then laced his fingers with mine, and we left my room. Who knew I would find my mate today of all days? When we arrived to the restaurant, I could tell we were in the VIP section, as it was away from others, and only a few were allowed to come, but once in a while, or were mind-linked to come in. We had a really nice dinner, and talked about our past to get to know each other. So tell me, little wolf, how did you get your scar? He questioned, and I tensed a bit before telling him what happened. It was my first rogue kill that did this while I was protecting our Luna. I was about 17 years old when it happened, I said, and continued to eat my chicken Alfredo dish, then took a sip of my wine. What about you? How did you get so many tattoos besides the one on our forearms? I questioned as we kept eating dinner. Well, most were because I liked them, and because my younger self was a bit more rebellious than now, he chuckled. I try to keep them traditional to tell my stories or cover bad scars. I try to keep them also where some pups won't see them or get ideas as I am king, but I guess it's too late now as the moon goddess has now put one on our forearms, he said. I know what you mean, but I like them, plus I'm sure you have intimidated a few when they see them, I said, giving him a smile. Yeah, of course, some even get confused when they find out, but for sure they intimidate a few people, even some elders, he said and finished his food. So now that your dad along with your beta, delta, gamma, and head warrior saw we were mates, and we are marked by the moon goddess, what happens now? I asked, concerned at what would happen to me. Well, for one, you will become queen and Luna of the pack in the next coming week, and secondly, you will keep training cause I know you will never stay back if I told you to stay in the castle during an attack, he said, a bit serious as he saw I was finishing up my dinner, and he just drank his wine. Okay, so one last question, how much older are you from me? Because as you told me about your tattoo made you sound super old, I said, giggling, and he did as well before answering me. Well, I'm about 5 years older than you, but with all the stuff I have learned and done, being a royal makes me feel like I'm older than what I am. Not that I did not skip a few training sessions or study time while I was a teen and chased a few girls here and there, he said, acting like he was thinking about his good old times. Well, I won't fall behind on that when I had a few guys follow me around. I said, messing with him now for mentioning those girls. What, who are they? I shall tear them apart, they shall not look at you, he said, growling a bit as he said it. I started to laugh, and he looked a bit confused as to why. Then, when I regained myself, I told him the truth. I'm just kidding, you should have seen your cute face. I giggled once more, then said, actually, I was mostly the silent girl who had no friends besides the trainer or teachers. I mostly kept to myself as I was always clumsy, or my brother and his friend would leave me behind. I was like their little shadow, or the way for girls to get close to them, so I never really made friends. I said, and put down my fork as I was now done with my meal. So you became stronger, and now this is who you are. Was the story real on what happened? He said as his fist tightened on the table. Yes. I looked down and soon felt his finger and thumb on my chin and made me look back up to him. Jayla, you are my mate, I know you're my first, and I won't understand your pain on rejection, but I'm here and you're my queen, I promise never to let you down, he said in his deep voice that made my heart flutter every time he spoke to me. I smiled and he leaned in to kiss my lips. Of course, it was easier to give me a kiss here than when we were standing. I was, of course, about 5'3" feet, and he was a good 6'0" feet tall. After our dinner, we got back to the castle without a fuss on anything going wrong, and he walked me all the way up to my room. As we walked to my room, he talked to me and asked me a question. Jayla, will you move into my room, please? I know it's too soon, but you're my mate and I prefer you with me, he said, and I was a little taken back. But what if you try marking me before the ceremony? Won't that get you in trouble? I questioned him, and he leaned in close to me. Well, I am king, and you will be my queen, so I think it can be waived for us, he said with a cute smirk. I slapped his arm and told him, well, maybe if I get to meet your family. Okay, well, what about yours? He asked, and I froze a bit before answering him. Remember, I disconnected myself from them. I want nothing to do with them, and I don't need them knowing where I'm at, I said in a really cold way. He knew that now I was not only detaching myself from my feelings, but he was also seeing a new side to me and hugged me. It's okay, you will meet my family, and I'm sorry about mentioning yours. And with that we moved on. I went into my guest room, and he left to his bedroom for the night. The night before was wonderful. I got to spend time with my mate and learned a bit about each other. This morning I was able to get up at sunrise and was doing my morning exercise. I had found one of the trails and was running around when I came across some girl from the castle. Well, if it isn't the girl who is also trying to get into the king's bed just to get the job as lead warrior, the girl said as she passed by with her friend hitting my shoulder. Of course, what is life without a bit of drama? Think what you want, individuals, but just so you know, it's not me trying to get under those sheets, I said before they had looked at me, then ran off like I was the plague. I continued my exercise, then left to the gym to do some lifting. I worked out for at least 2 more hours in the gym. Being in here felt good to leave all my frustration and stress. Wow, guess what they were saying was true. They let a small princess in, said a random warrior who was looking at me work out. I stopped and took off my headphones. I looked up to him and responded with my own sarcasm as well. Damn, can't believe they let little individuals in as well. As soon as I said that, his smile disappeared. What did you say, squirt? I will crush you, he said, now angry that I had talked back to him. Chill out, Barbie, you might soil yourself, I said, and he was getting so angry he yelled out so loud the whole gym stopped what they were doing. I don't give a damn if you're a girl, I'm going to shut the pretty little face of yours, he said. Everyone in the gym started to back off and I just smirked. Oh, really? Well, hope your mommy comes and gets you before you trip, I said, and got up to leave to the arena. He followed, ready to pounce on me, but what he did not know was that the king was in the arena, overlooking the warriors who were there training. As soon as we walked in, the ones who were in the gym filled up the place, and the ones training in the arena moved away from the middle. Max seemed to be enjoying the show after a warrior who was training in the gym caught him up with what was happening. He was curious and was about to stop it, but instead he let it play out to see his mates' moves out in the field versus one of his best fighters. As soon as we got to the middle of the arena, he decided to make the first move and pounce at me before I finished turning around. I swiftly dodged his move and smirked once more. How did you really think I was that dumb? You know my first kill was at age 17, and I did it in my human form, so if you value life, I suggest you chill out a bit. I said, and that seemed to make him a bit more angry. As for Max, he was seeing how I was easily getting into his brain. After a while, I was getting tired of dodging him and decided to end it quick. I decided to finally throw my first punch and hit him on his right cheek. He hit my stomach and took out my air, but I was able to quickly recover and go at him quicker, punching and kicking him. He couldn't take it any longer and shifted into his wolf. The crowd started to get better, and I never noticed that the former king and queen had joined Max. They were interested to see what the future Luna could do. I gave him the sign to continue, and he came at me once more. I threw a few more punches at him until he got a hold of my leg and threw me across the arena. People cheered, yet some gasped. I was now getting angry, and Scar was not liking this one bit, yet she did not want to shift yet. I got up, wiping blood from my lip. Wonder when that happened. I got in a stance, once more, then he charged at me again. This time I started giving it my all in human form, and as I gave him my last blow, I quickly shifted into my wolf Scar, which ended being bigger than him, yet smaller than the Alpha King. Many gasped at my wolf, and the royal family was not surprised. Their future Luna was strong and was a special wolf. This time I went at him with a bit of power, but not too much that I would kill him. I ended beating him till he passed out. I stopped and shifted back as soon as someone had brought me a robe to cover up. Max ended, showing himself along with the rest of the royal family. Please someone take Kyle to the hospital wing, said the former king, as Max got close to me and pulled me to his side, grabbing me from my waist. I smiled up at him, then his father made an announcement. As you have seen today, Miss, Jayla has proven to be a great warrior. As an addition, she is also your future Queen Luna. As soon as the former king said that, everyone went wild. I leaned my head on Maximiliano's shoulder and then walked up to the stage where his father was. Hi everyone, I'm Jayla, and I am happy to be your new Luna. In addition, I would like to say that I am honored to be here and by my mate's side. I will do my best at protecting you all, not just as my pack, but as family, alongside your Alpha King Maximiliano. And with that, the crowd cheered once more. Max then took the stand and decided to say a few words as well. Thank you all for the kind gesture. I am happy to have my mate by my side. I know we have just gotten to know each other, but I know we will have a lifetime. In addition to that, I would like to ask you one thing, he said, then knelt down on one knee and took out a small box. When he opened it, there was a beautiful ring. It was designed to our personality, and it reminded me of his teen stories. He told me of his rebellious times. It made me so happy my tears slipped, and I nodded yes. A big fat yes, even before he popped the question, and I kissed him in front of everyone. The pack was cheering so much that we felt the happiness our pack had for their new Luna and their king. Not long after I had gave Max a kiss, I looked down to see he had slipped my ring on my finger. He also showed me his to match mine, and told me he couldn't wait to wear his too along with mine. I was so happy that after everyone was dismissed, we had a little escape to Max's room. The next morning I woke up in a different room. Now looking around, it looks fit for this king laying by my side. I enjoy being in his arms and waking up to him. I can't believe this is true. After all I've been through, and I have found my soulmate. As I thought about the good things in my life, I trailed his face with my finger until he bit it. Good morning, but I rather have your lips with mine than your fingers right now, he said, knowing well he was going to start getting me flustered, and worse, we had bonded. Mating to your wolf is not just being intimate with him, it's about your feelings for him, and wanting to protect him as much as he wants to protect you. Good morning, I said, after he gave me a peck on my lips, then started kissing my mark. Knock knock, Maximiliano started to growl. I know now that one thing that gets him in a bad mood is his king duties interrupting our time together. Hey, stop growling and answer him, I said, and he held me tighter and growled once more. So I took things into my own hands. I separated myself from him and grabbed his shirt as it was the closest thing to me. It was a bit big on me, but I still took it to cover up and go check his door. As I opened the door, just a bit I saw his beta standing right outside. "May I help you?" I said, and he turned to me, then turned as red as a tomato. I giggled at his reaction and said, "Need something, Christ?" I asked, and he said, yeah, he won't answer his mind link, and he needs to finish up some paperwork before this afternoon's meeting. He said, a bit stressed at not getting a hold of him. I looked back, and he was sitting up on the bed, smirking with his arms crossed on the bed. I looked back to Christ and put out my hand so he gave me the papers. "Thanks, Christ, next time just mind link me if he's not answering, and I will tell you what we need to do, and for now hand those over, and I will make sure he shows up, but for now give me a bit of time to get him out of bed." Christ nodded and handed me the 5 folders he had and quickly left. Max chuckled a bit as I walked over and put his files on his lap. "Next time you use this to your advantage, I'm going to let you suffer," I said, smiling at him, and gave him a peck on the lips. Then I quickly turned away before going into the bathroom. Well, let me tell you, that did not take long before he had me inside the shower against the wall, with my hands pinned up. "Well, guess you decided to join me." I laughed at his possessiveness and dominant traits with me. "Little wolf, keep playing with fire, and you won't be getting out of this room," he said, and teased my mark. I reacted to his touch on my mark, and I did not let myself lose to him just yet. I fought back by biting his earlobe, and that made him growl in satisfaction. "Little wolf," he said in his husky voice, trying to stop himself. "Yes," I said, and smiled up at him. With that, they shared an intimate moment. After our shower and moment, we got dressed and went downstairs to eat lunch with everyone before he went to his meeting. As we walked into the kitchen, we were served pasta with chicken and Alfredo sauce over it all. It smelled so good I thought it was perfect, since we had skipped breakfast. Well, guess someone exercised indoors today," said Mark, the warrior's son. "Shut it, Mark," I said as I continued to eat, and him and Max had a laugh. I ignored him until some girl decided to wrap her arms around Maximiliano. I drank my water, and he pulled the girl's hand off of him. "Oh my goodness, babe, you can't do that, that's cheating," she said in a perky mood, and I gave them a growl. "Well, someone slept on the wrong side of the bed anyways. Go bring me some water, you weirdo," she said, then giggled and hugged on to Max's arm. I got up from my seat, and Maximiliano quickly got up as well. "Who's the person, Maximiliano?" I said with rage coursing through me. "Oh my goodness me, says the one sitting by my boyfriend," the blonde said, and I finally had it. Boyfriend. I turned to Max, and he looked like he was seeing death right in the eyes. "Well, you little individual, let me update you, I'm his mate, and get your hands off him before you start planning your funeral. I will also give you a second to turn your rear away and go back from where you came from," I said with more rage, and Max intervened. "Brianna, please go away, I have my mate now, and I told you we were done 5 months ago, so leave, and don't come back, because if you do I will personally make sure you don't see another sunrise again," Max said, then pulled me away back to his room. At this point, I did not want to talk to him or even hang out, so I left back to my room and locked myself in. After what happened yesterday, I decided to stay in my guest bedroom. I worked out and had music playing. As I was working out, I heard someone opening the door. Of course, how could I forget he had all the keys to the castle? I turned around and crossed my arms. "Jayla, go to mate, and kiss him, I miss him," Scar said, trying to get me to betray my anger that I had inside from what he did the day before. "Jay, can we talk?" Max said, looking a bit worried I would shut him out again. This man. Damn, he was a leader who could rule with an iron fist, but when it came to me, he would be as soft as a teddy bear. I turned off the TV, then sat down on the sitting area the guest bedroom had. Technically, most of these rooms look like mini suites or hotel rooms with 1 or 2 beds inside for when we had visitors. "Hey babe, I'm sorry, I was just as surprised as you were yesterday, plus I promise I broke up with her way before we even met, like 5 months before," Max started to explain. On the other hand, my giggles slipped and he caught me smiling a bit. "Did you just get back at me?" he said, and I burst with laughter. He grabbed his chest like his heart had just dropped to the floor, and he needed to keep it in place. After I was done laughing, Max told me another little detail he knew I would not like. Babe, well, you know we bonded, right? And our Luna ceremonies are kind of like a human's wedding, right? He said, cautious of how I would react. Yeah, I know ours is in 2 days, since we already bonded, and the next full moon is in 2 days. I said, without realizing there was one tiny thing missing. About that, honey. Your parents along with the old Alpha and new Alpha will be coming to the ceremony, he said, and my jaw dropped. Are you kidding me? I said, looking at him, and he just scratched his head, hoping he could get out of this one. First of all, tell me all the details before I agree, I said to him, and he laid down, putting his head on my thighs, using them as a pillow. Well, they are the closest pack to ours, and I need to officiate the new Alpha and his mating to his Luna, in addition his new Beta as well, Maximiliano said as he looked up and saw me thinking a bit before continuing. The Alpha's parents will also be retiring, but will have permission to take over again if something happens, or one of his siblings will take the Alpha position. As the same for your parents, but if something happens to your brother, someone else takes over. Since you are the queen, you won't be able to take your brother's job, he said, and I looked down to see his beautiful blue eyes and said, okay, but I don't want to be chatting or be around them for long. I rather have you show me around, I said, and he showed me his sweet smile to me. I got up, letting his head fall on the couch, but he quickly got up and grabbed me once more. We messed around for a bit, then ended on the bed making out. After our little time together, we decided to go work out together today. We got changed into our workout clothes, then made our way to the gym. When we first walked in, we went to the stretching area to help loosen up our muscles. I then started on my combo of 5, 10, 5, 15 push-ups and sit-ups. I usually did these quick, so I always did them at the beginning of my workout, and at the end to end a good workout with a bit of a burn. As I did my various exercises, I felt someone staring. I looked back and lo, and behold, the king himself was taking in the view. So I decided to mind-link him and tease him a bit. Like what you see, I said, and he totally was surprised that I had caught him. What are you talking about? He replied, trying to play it cool. Oh, don't play though, I don't know card, you know exactly what I am talking about, I said, and giggled a bit, then put down one of the weights, turned around, and started checking him out now. Little wolf, you better chill out with that arousal, you are very tempting. He mind-linked me, hoping I would stop, but it only made it even hotter seeing him being protective of his mate. In the end, we did not finish our workout as we left a bit early and went straight to his room. Once we got there, he locked the door and started kissing me roughly. This just made me even more interested, and I bit him on his bottom lip. He growled in satisfaction and started to take off my sports bra along with my leggings. As he kept kissing me, one of his hands had my hands pinned up, while the other hand slowly moved around my body until it found its spot. His fingers touched my sides, and I could feel the sparks that were there from his touch. The butterflies he could give me as he explored my body. After a while, he lifted me and took us to his bed. There he not only explored my body, but I did as well. I am so in love with him that it would totally break me if anything happened to him. We continued our intimacy until the afternoon. After our time together, we showered once more and got dressed for dinner. For tonight's dinner, I wore a dress, since this dinner will be taking place in the fancy dining room. As I came out, I saw Maximiliano in his fitted dinner tux. He looked so good, I still can't believe he is all mine. Wow, you look gorgeous, little wolf, Max said while checking me out from head to toe. I blushed and said thanks before he grabbed me and whispered in my ear, "You're lucky we have to go down for dinner, or you would never be getting out of this room." This just made goosebumps all over me as he kissed my mark, making me a bit excited. "I hate when you don't play fair," I said, then walked away from him. He chuckled and caught up to me so I would wrap my head around his arm, and he led me to the dining room. We seemed to be the first ones down, and I was able to enjoy the elegant looks of this room. "Do you like it?" asked Maximiliano. "Of course, it's so elegant. Who designed it?" I asked him, looking around. "I did. It was one of the rooms that needed a bit of an upgrade, so I updated this dining room. The other one is the main one that we do parties in, like our mating ceremony. Mother has been working on it to make it simple yet elegant and more updated. He said as we walked to our seats, but our ceremony is in less than a day, I said a bit worried. Yes, I know, and it will be done soon, just need to tell her what colors will be the theme, that way they get it out. And I think the only thing you will worry about is your dress. He said. Okay, I can work with that, I said and smiled. As soon as I did, the first guest arrived, and it was his parents. We introduced each other, and were super happy to welcome me into their family. Soon his siblings came in, Kyle, Jessica, and Brianna, the twins, and last but not least Brian, Maximiliano's youngest sibling. Mother, father, he said, and they each hugged him. Oh, Maxie, she is gorgeous. It's so wonderful to have you here, dear, Queen Clarissa said. Well, thank you for having me and welcoming me into your family. Hope Maximiliano also caught you up on my family, I asked as Queen Clarissa nodded. Not to worry, my dear, we are up to date with everything, and we will try to make their stuff official as soon as possible. Well, I'll try to get their stuff out of the way tomorrow, that way the day after it's all about you both, she said, and I smiled, trying hard to not be mad that they would be coming just before my ceremony. Maximiliano squeezed my hand before he said, Sorry to announce this so soon, but there will also be someone else joining us today. That is why I decided to have this private dinner, he said, before I was about to ask who a group of people started to come in. Maximiliano had just told us about the visitors a moment before they came in. As they did, I took hold of his hand and gave it a squeeze. The people that came in not only took me a bit off guard seeing them so soon again, but I could feel my anger boiling up inside me. I knew Maximiliano could feel it too and whispered in my ear, I will make it up to you, just be good for dinner, please, he said, and I mind-linked him an okay. The people who had just walked in were my ex-Alpha and Luna, ex-mate and his new Luna, and my parents along with my brother and his mate. They, of course, were shocked to see me standing with the royal family. They all bowed their heads, and we proceeded to the table. Tonight I decided I was only going to mind-link unless it was necessary to talk. As we were being served, I linked the waiter to fill up my wine glass a bit more. As my father-in-law talked with my old Alpha, I only said a few words here and there to Maximiliano through our link. Of course, as dinner continued, he always had a form to keep contact with me to try and keep me calmed down during the whole dinner. Oh, before I forget, darling, what will be the color you chose for your ceremony as official queen? My mother-in-law mentioned in front of everyone. Of course, she would make me talk, and she knew part of the situation, but guess she was planning something that I did not know. Well, I was thinking we could use dark purple, as it is a dark color, yet very elegant, I said, looking at my mother-in-law. Wow, can't believe I can finally say those words. I love it. I have a mother and father-in-law. Anyway, she was happy at my choice of colors, and her voice was filled of joy. That is an excellent choice, the royal colors of royalty. Well, tomorrow will be a big day. Around 1 p.m., we will be announcing the unity of the Blue Crest new Alpha along with his Luna and Betas, my father-in-law said. A toast to new Alphas and to a new generation who will now take over of our future. He completed his toast, and we of course lifted our glasses and took a sip. Dinner went on until my mother decided to speak up. I'm sorry to interrupt this dinner, but I would like to tell my daughter I am happy for her that she has found a good family to be a part of, and that many blessings come her way. I miss you, my little Jayla, she said with a few tears in her eyes before sitting back down. Everyone stood quiet for a bit, waiting on how I would react, but in reality, I know many will say how rude and ungrateful I am, but she also made me feel like I was always a shadow, and her son was her pride and joy. Thank you, but this won't fix years of being left on the sidelines or being rejected the first time. Yes, I did survived, but at the cost of getting myself up every single time I was knocked down. I even got a little reminder as a keepsake on my face, and the only thanks I got was being treated at a hospital and a short little speech. I said, and lifted my glass of wine, took a sip, and held it in my hands as everyone sat there in shock, and I continued. Wow, so many things have changed, And yes, thank the moon goddess, she prepared better for me, but years of what I went through will never be forgotten. Now one apology I am waiting for is your new Luna's apology from that day, or shall we cancel your union tomorrow until further notice? I said, and Jake's face along with his mate's became pale. Jayla, what is the meaning of this? Why would you disrespect my Luna like that? Jake started to say, while also lifting his voice at me. It did not take long, though, before Maximiliano slammed his hand on the table and started to yell at him till he submitted. Don't you ever dare to yell at your queen again, pup. She is your queen, and don't ever forget it. And if she asks for an apology, then do it. If not, your ceremony shall be cancelled, and I will pick a new alpha for your pack. Maximiliano said, standing, now making it known, who was now Alpha King in this room. Everyone else, of course, showed their submissive side to him, while showing him part of their neck. Soon Jake and his mate lifted up their heads and started to apologize. I'm sorry we hurt you, Jayla, said Jake first, then looked over to his Luna. I'm sorry I slapped you the time I stormed into your house and disrespected you in front of the king and queen, but I'm not sorry about Jake hurting you, as you deserved it for hurting him first. Jake's Luna said, and she earned a growl from Max and I. Oh really? Well, while we are here, why don't we clear that up? Cause I apparently don't know what the hell you're talking about, I said, and she smirked as Jake stood and started to talk. The day I turned, I saw you talking to someone. I was about to tell you that I was your mate, but then I saw you kissing them, and I decided to reject you that day, he said as he looked at me with anger, while I recalled the day, then started to laugh. Everyone thought I was crazy for a moment. When I got a hold of myself, I told them what actually happened. That day something flew into my damn eye, and that someone was helping me get it out. Maybe from your angle it looked like I was kissing him, but in reality, it was something in my eye after I left home, since I never really had friends there, or more like everyone just wanted to be friends with me to get to both of you. I yelled, making my point go through to them, but that anger just made my canine teeth enlarged, and Maximiliano held on to me by my waist. I could tell he was amused by their fright, but my parents, along with his, were not so happy as his poor excuse to reject me, and more, that he did not talk it out first. He let his eyes deceive him. Enough, I apologize for everything. We will hold his ceremony until further notice, as my son seemed to forget a big part in a family and a duty to his pack members. As for my new daughter-in-law, I am sorry for her words as well, said my old alpha while bowing his head, as did his wife. It's okay, what has happened it has, but if you wish to withhold their union, we will until further notice. As for now, my ceremony will be in 2 days. Why not just stay until then? I said to them, and my former alpha nodded. Yes, thank you, Jayla. And as for my son, he will be excused to go back home tomorrow morning along with his Luna, as punishment. No offense, but I want his lessons to start as soon as possible, with your permission, he said, then looked at Max and his father. Of course, Alpha Blackwood, said my father-in-law. Dinner ended becoming a series of fixing miscommunications, and now trying to fix a bond broken between my family and I. But in the end, it will always be a long road to fix a bond that was broken more than 10 years ago, but hey, it starts somewhere, right? As for Max and I, well, we took the first chance we got to leave and have some time of our own before our ceremony plans tomorrow. We had escaped from the longest dinner of my life. Max and I were now in our own perfect little world, escaping into our room. After a few kisses, we stopped and looked into each other's eyes. Have I told you how beautiful you look? Maximiliano said, looking down at me. I wrapped my hands around his neck, intertwining my fingers, and answered him, even with this scar across my eye. He was surprised at my question, but quickly recovered and responded back. Especially with that scar, it makes you look badass and even more dangerous, hot, he said, smirking. I looked at him and playfully slapped his arm. I swear I would beat you up if I did not like you so much, I said, and he of course looked a bit taken back at my response. Like, damn, I thought I was way beyond alike, Max said, and chuckled at my response. Well, I can't give up the surprise so soon, plus, I like to mess with you a bit, I said, smiling at him, then giving him a kiss on the cheek before walking away from him. Well, I like messing with you in other ways, he said, hugging me from behind and kissing down my neck all the way to my mark. I reacted a bit to his kisses and touch, before I lost any sense and lose myself to him. You know, King, Maximiliano, we have an early day tomorrow," I said, trying to get his attention. I know, my queen," he said, continuing to kiss me. "Well, we can share a quick, intimate moment in the shower," I said, before turning around to kiss his delicious lips. Sounds like a good plan, my Luna," he said, still in a daze. I pulled him with me to the shower and had a nice, relaxing shower. "I don't want to share all my intimate life, maybe, just a peek for your wild imagination." Soon, we were able to get out of the shower after a few attempts to get out of the cold water, hitting our hot skins. We made our way to the bed and snuggled in for much-needed sleep. The next morning, I woke up to someone banging on the door. A low growl started to sound from beside me, and I irritatedly got up. "Sir, you're late to your meeting, people are waiting," they said as they kept knocking on the door. Once I opened the door, they saw me, and their eyes almost popped out. "Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, Luna, I did not think you would be here already, my sincere apologies," he said as he bowed his head to me. "It's okay, but why are you trying to wake up the Alpha so early?" I asked, figuring out what was happening so early in the morning. "Actually, my queen, it's already 12 p.m., and the king has an appointment with the elders before you and the queen finish off your Luna ceremony party arrangements for tomorrow," he said timidly, as if I would choke him if he said something wrong. "Thanks for telling us, and I will get him up immediately, tell them to wait," I said. I turned around and quickly started to wake up Max. "Maximiliano, you need to get up, you're late, hurry," I said, and then walked off to get the shower started. I left the shower on and ran into the closet to get our clothes ready. I took out his navy blue suit out today, and I took out a sun dress I left here a few days ago. I heard him walk into the shower and soon got out as I walked in and took the fastest shower I have ever taken. I quickly did my makeup, as well put some simple flip-flops, and walked out of the room with him. "I told the ladies to move your stuff to our room," he said, while looking down at his phone, checking something. "Okay, well, I have a few hours with your mom, see you later." I kissed him, and we both went our separate ways. From the wedding venue in the castle to the cake, everything was coming out beautifully. I could not believe my eyes, and how much my mother-in-law was helping me. I was truly grateful to her, and I felt like the luckiest girl ever, having a wonderful mother-in-law like her. From the smallest to the biggest details were all squared away. We were doing a walk-through when we decided to go out for lunch. "So, darling, I think that on our way back, we should go see the tailor about your dress, and it will all be ready for tomorrow," my mother-in-law said as we walked out to the cars. "Yes, I'm not even sure what I want to get, but since it will be my coronation as well, I think we will have to be a bit extra as well," I said, and she agreed. "Well, if you want, we can get you 2 dresses, one for the ceremony and one for the after party," she said. "No, it's okay. I would love to show off my ceremony dress all night. How about I get a simple one for tonight's dinner?" I suggested, and she seemed to like the idea more. Soon we were having lunch at a cafe near the castle when Max's sisters joined us. Jessica and Brianna were such goofballs. They still did not have mates, as they would be turning 18 in a few more months. "So, Jay, do you have something in mind?" said Jessica, interested in my dress. "Oh, get a mermaid style instead," said Brianna. "Girls, chill out. I will probably get a fitted dress for tonight's dinner and a ball gown for the ceremony," I said, and their eyes lit up in happiness. "Well, enough about me. I would love it if you two were my bridesmaids and wore pretty dresses as well," I said, and they were in a bit of shock before they squealed in approval. My mother-in-law was very happy as well. After lunch, we walked into the boutique, and I expressed my ideas along with what the girls liked, and my mother-in-law. We soon ended with a few rough sketches, but in the end, we ended up with beautiful dresses for my sister-in-laws and my mother-in-law for tonight and tomorrow. For tonight's dresses, we picked simple lilac colors, as for me, a white dress for dinner. Mother-in-law chose a nice dress fit for a former queen. As for my sister-in-laws, they also chose to be very simple for tonight. Jessica wanted something with a hint of a Greek dress. As for her sister, she wanted something with a bit more spring to it. My dress, on the other hand, was a mix of elegant and fashionable, as I know many might not like it, but for me, I thought it was the perfect dress for tonight's dinner. When I saw myself in the mirror, I could not believe I was the one in this white dress, ready to have dinner with his family a day, before we were united in front of many. I looked down to my forearm, and I had butterflies going wild in my stomach. Soon I was ready to go, and join the guest alongside my mate. I was ready to walk to tonight's dinner party, where I would be introduced to Alphas and Lunas who have come to celebrate a special day with us. As I walked out of our room and into the hallway where Maximiliano was waiting for me, I was feeling so much nervousness, I didn't know what to do with it. "Wow, you look amazing," Max said as he kept his eyes on me and saw how I really knocked the wind out of him. I giggled at his comment and curtsied as I said, "Well, thank you, my king, I am honored," and giggled at my silly behavior. He also joined in, bowed to me, and kissed my cheek. "Shall we, my queen?" he said, taking a hold of my hand and placing it around his arm. He smiled at me one last time, and we made our entrance to the dining hall where all pack members had their meals. Most would cook at home, but once in a while they would come over to eat a meal here, like in smaller packs. They will eat at their pack house, just that here they eat at the castle. I gave Maximiliano's arm a squeeze, and he put his other hand on top, assuring me everything would be fine. Now introduced Alpha King Maximiliano Gray and Luna Queen Jayla Clearwater, the guard announced as we walked in. As we walked in, people bowed their heads in respect. When we got to our table, I sat on his right side, as his parents sat on his left. My family would be sitting on my right, but as things were going, I preferred to keep them at a distance. I could see them from the corner of my eyes, that they would turn to see me a few times, and I continued to have short conversations with my mother-in-law and Maximiliano. Soon my father-in-law stood up to grab everyone's attention. "Hello, welcome all to tonight's dinner. As we present my sons Luna, we are also happy to announce that tomorrow they will be celebrating their unity and coronation, as I will fully step down and allow my son to take over with his Luna. We will help, of course. But don't take advantage, son." Everyone laughed at the king's words, as he was happily looking forward to retiring with his queen and letting a new generation take over. "As for that, let us enjoy of this wonderful dinner our cooks have prepared for tonight, and hope everyone has a splendid time." After his speech, everyone clapped and then settled down to continue the feast. During that time, Maximiliano talked to me and also kept an eye out on our guests. Not long after, a guard came to him that someone was trying to break in. He excused himself, but of course I did too, and went after him. It was a bit hard as I had to hold my dress, but I was not going to let this slide, as it was our night with our family. He felt me behind him and he turned around. "Jayla, what are you doing?" he questioned. "I'm going with you," I said, looking at him while he tried sending me back. "No, you're not. You will be safe here, plus it's something small. I will be back in 5 minutes, he said, continuing to try. "Well, is it so dangerous for me or so easy you are going to be sidelined because you're not going if I'm not going?" I said, now crossing my hands, making it difficult for him. He grabbed the bridge of his nose, then grabbed onto my shoulders. "Baby, please, I just need you to stay and enjoy dinner." "No, Maximiliano, I am going. Or have you forgotten who I am? We will go and be right back now. Let's go before I tear someone's head off." With that, he grabbed my hand and started walking again. When we got to the gate of the castle, we saw the blondie there with a few rogues behind her ready to pounce. "Oh, so this is why my dear of a mate did not want me to come with him. Goodness, sorry. I did not let you bring her flowers as well," I said sarcastically at him, and let go of his hand. He, of course, looked pissed off, but did not say a word. "Why are you here?" I said, speaking up since no one would. "Oh, darling, I missed you. Will you please come and let that person be taken away by these rogues? They do need a bit of fun," she said, making her smirk well known. "Well, tell me, rogues, how much did she pay you to play with her?" I said, and a guard's chuckle left his lips. This, of course, made her angry, and she lost it trying to go at me. She launched towards me trying to slap me, but I grabbed her hand and twisted it back. Now, play nice, princess, or you might break a limb." She, of course, struggled to get out of my hand grip till I pushed her away. Actually, she promised us a beautiful girl who thinks she can't be broken by anyone, plus I'm sure after you spend time with us, you will be begging us to keep satisfying you," the rogue said. This of course gave me goosebumps and made Maximiliano growl. This made everyone show their submissive side. Even a rogue, they did not listen much to regular alphas. But to an alpha, King Law was still the utmost law everyone listens to. After everyone put their heads up again, the blonde came at me again, and this time she did not get a second chance. I swiftly dodged her moves, even being in my dress, then had enough time to get the right angle and took hold of her face. With that, I quickly twisted her neck, causing it to break, and all other rogues took off. "Clean up the trash," I said, and I started to walk back to the castle. As I did, Maximiliano walked behind me in silence until we walked into one of the castle's bathrooms to wash my hands and clean myself a bit. "I'm sorry, I did not expect her to be here with others," he said, and continued to keep quiet. "Look, I understand that, but she did not understand the first time, so the second time around it got her killed now. Those rogues will probably be back to get payment, and you will have to be ready on who is sending them, cause I know she did not come for nothing. And or option 2, I will go undercover on another mission, your choice, Maximiliano," I said and walked out of the restroom. He of course was a bit shocked at what I had said, but he understood what I meant, and he knew about all my missions, so he was not going to let me go on another. He soon walked back to join me, as I walked back to dinner. "Oh great, you're back. Oh, your dress, darling, what happened?" my mother-in-law said. "Oh, it's nothing, just a little trouble in paradise," I said. "Maximiliano, you better be nice to this girl," his mother said, and I gave him a smirk. He then mind-linked me and said, "Payback's a female dog, babe," and he just answered his mother, "Yes, mother." Not long after, dinner was coming to an end and guests were leaving. My parents, of course, stayed as they tried to make conversation with me again. "Jayla, can we please have a word with you?" said my father. "What is it about?" I questioned while my mother took the next few words. "Darling, please, we want to be a part of your life. I know it's been hard on you, but we promise we loved you too," she said, as she then turned to my father. "That's right, honey, we never meant to hurt you. Who do you think put 2 and 2 together?" With that, I stopped him, and I really did not want to hear anything more. It hurt to know that at one point I was being pitied not just by them, but from the people who also knew my mate had rejected me. I was rejected, and no one would ever understand that pain until my second chance mate was able to take it all away. All I had to say was, "I need time," and walked away holding Maximiliano's hand back to our room. Today was the day. After a long, exhausting day yesterday, our day finally arrived. I turned to see Maximiliano, but he was not there by my side. Instead, there was a note with his beautiful writing. "Good morning, my queen. Today is not only a special day for you, but for me as well. I can't wait to spend the rest of my days with you, and I can truly say I have found my soul mate. I know being paired by the moon goddess was part of it, but I truly believe that even if we were human, we would always find each other. Peas, I love you, my queen." His cute words found their way into my heart, and a few tears were let out. Soon I jumped into the shower, and as I came out in my robe, I heard my mother-in-law knocking on my door. "Oh, darling, you're finally out of the shower. Great, well, today's the big day. We have to get started getting you ready. Maximiliano is getting ready with his dad in my room," she said as she went into the closet to grab my dress. The stylist soon came in along with the makeup artist, and they both got to work. When I was all set and finished, they all gave me a bit of space to jump into the dress, and then they came back to help me tie it in the back. Of course, my nerves were through the roof, but I was also ready to be by my mate's side. Soon it was time, and I walked down the halls to our outside ceremony. The fresh air helped, and when I saw my family, they looked speechless. Jake, who had to be gone, was there by his parents, but instead of ruining my day, I decided to give all my focus to Maximiliano. I was soon set up in position, and the photographer took a few pictures of me, as the other one took pictures of Maximiliano. Our eyes met, and it was like the world had stopped for us. The music started, and I walked towards my mate. We said our vows, and then my coronation took place. Maximiliano was wearing his crown already, so mine was being placed. Soon my father-in-law announced, "I present to you all King Maximiliano and his queen Jayla." After his words, everyone cheered and Maximiliano pulled me in for a kiss. I felt like I had turned a million shades of red, but it was worth it because I was with the one I long for to be with. Later that afternoon, we were in the reception dancing to our song. People started to dance around us, as some would end up finding their mates there. Not long after Maximiliano decided to sneak us out into the garden for some time alone. We walked along the pavement that went around flower beds and a big waterfall in the middle. Hand in hand, we walked in silence till I decided to break it. "Thank you," I said, leaning my head on his shoulder. "For?" he asked, a bit confused. "For not rejecting me, for loving me, for making me happy, and for our future together," I said, then looked up to him with a smile. He nodded and then gave my lips a kiss. "From tonight and always I will love you, even if I go under a spell it will always be you," he said, hugging me. Then we retired back to the party. After a few more hours, my mother-in-law helped me change into a simpler white dress that I was to use on our way to our honeymoon. As soon as I finished changing, I gave her a big hug, thanking her for accepting me into her family, and of course, a few tears were shed, but they were happy tears. We soon walked back down and were sent off on our honeymoon. The fun part was that Maximiliano would not tell me where our destination was, but I was happy we would spend some time together before completely taking over as royals. In the end, I had my happy ending, and I finally found my soul mate. The end.